Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we're back in the greenhouse. This is January 7th, and I wanted to share with you my potting up of my rose cuttings that I started in September. I started them in this container. It's full of vermiculite, or perlite, and a tiny bit of soil, but mostly perlite, and it was started on 9/23, and it was part of my rose cuttings, starting roses from cuttings videos. And here is one of the starts. If you can see that, the roots have really started to grow, and I'm potting them up right now. I just had tested them to see if they had started, and instead of putting them back in that mix, I'm going to go ahead and putting them up in some nice potting soil. This time, right now, I'm using Edna's Best potting soil because I'm out of my homemade DIY potting soil, and I've always had great success with Edna's Best. I'm trying to look at the name. It's by E.B. Stone Organics. And so I had filled up the pot here, this little 4-inch square pot. Oh, I had probably an inch or two of soil in it. I set the cutting down with the roots just sitting on that soil, and now I'm adding more soil. So in case you couldn't see down, maybe I should point my camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let me get that going here. So here's my little tub of soil, or wherever I repot, and here's the other little cutting. This one doesn't have quite as much roots, but it does have roots, and I need a 4-inch pot, and I'll show you. I put a little bit in it, and then I set my cutting on there. The roots just gently, you don't want to push too hard because those roots don't need to be smashed down into the soil, because you're just going to cover them with more soil. Forgive my chickens, they think they need something from me, like a treat, and I'll have to go feed them to get them to hush up for a little while so they're not overrunning my video. Okay, so I'm just filling that up. I'm firming the potting soil down around the cuttings. You want good contact in there. And then I am going to add just a little bit of, this is horticultural sand. Let me cut this off better. This is not a very good cut. And one of the girls has now laid an egg, so she's letting me know. This is horticultural sand. This is also by E.B. Stone Naturals. I've used different kinds, but look how pretty that is. And I just lay that on top of here. This is totally optional. I like to add this because supposedly it discourages fungus gnats in a natural way. I have not tested that theory, and it just makes it pretty. Also can hold in moisture good. And just add a little to it. So that's all good. I'm going to go put it over on my bench on the other side and keep them watered. This is in my greenhouse. So let's go ahead and open this one together, and we'll see if it has rooted. Okay, so I cut the tape a little bit so I could get this open. I won't bother retaping it if it hasn't. Now they look a little moldy, but that's okay. Now the first thing I do is I kind of tug on them and see, yeah, that one's got roots. Ouch, that one stuck me. That one, if they're kind of firm and hard to pull up, then they have rooted. Now this one here is turning black, so it's rotting, but it looks like it might have gotten roots. Nope. Let me get my water jug. I have a little jug of water over here that I have been rinsing them off in to see. No roots, and see how it's turning black? That's dead. Goes out to the compost heap. So let me set this over here. This is one I need to put sand on. And all these jugs in here like this, I've been doing some winter sowing of seeds, and I have a whole video on that. I'm going to get posted really quick. I just have to get some good photographs. Okay, let's see. Now I need to use something to kind of loosen the bottom because I don't want to rip any roots. Now even though that one was tight in there, I don't see any roots yet. I might see some callousing. See, there's really not anything, not even callousing. Callousing is where you see this white, like, I don't know what you would call it, just white bumps and stuff growing up on it. So if that one doesn't have any, I'm wondering if any of the others do. Oh, now there's one that has roots. See that? Let me rinse it off for you. And look at that, nice healthy roots. So that one will get potted up. And you don't really want them to dry out, so I'm going to set that kind of in the water while I pull up the other ones and see. And that girl is going again. Okay. Oh, more great roots. So that's a nice one too. See, look at those roots. And I'll pot these up as soon as I'm done looking at all. This one has new growth right there. Now, there's a lot of black mildew and stuff from being in such a humid environment, but that's okay. It doesn't really hurt. It's got a lot of new growth. A lot of roots on that one too. So hopefully I'm in the camera because I'm too lazy to go look. And one more. Yep, that one rooted too. So out of 5 cuttings, 4 of them rooted. That is pretty good ratio. So that can go in the compost heap. And I will go ahead and I will pot these up like I did the first ones I showed you. And I will then show you where they're at on my bench and how they're growing. And then I'll update you next spring when I'm ready to pot them up in even larger pots, if I do, or when I do. So here they are on my bench in the greenhouse. The sun's coming in. It's a beautiful day. I think we're supposed to get some more rainy weather pretty quick, but for today we're enjoying the sunshine. So I'm just going to tidy these up a little bit. So some of these longer leaves that are mildewy and kind of yucky looking, I'm just going to take them off. That one especially has new growth. They have roots now, so I don't have to worry about transpiration out the leaves, but I do want to make sure that the mildew doesn't continue, because even in here in the greenhouse, even though it's not quite as humid as in the little container they were in, it still has some. So I'm just, getting rid of surfaces that it can be attracted to, and it doesn't hurt the cuttings whatsoever. So they're all watered in. I got a little bit of sand on top, and now I'm going to go get my, I had some I did in a plastic cup, and I'm going to go get those and bring them in here and see if they have rooted yet too. All right, I went and got my rose cutting that I did in the cup, the plastic cup, from where I had it in my studio, which was warmer than in my greenhouse. Now, I had several cuttings in here, and I did what I tell you not to do, and I overwatered it. So a lot of them rotted, but this last one, it has little growth on it, and I see some little white things down here. I think they're roots. I don't know if that's wishful thinking, but I'm going to remove the lid, give it a tug. Feels firm, so now I'm going to dump it out. Dump the soil out. Also, this mix was just the potting mix. It wasn't the mostly perlite, so that could have been a factor too, but I think I just got too carried away in keeping it wet rather than drier on the drier side, and the others just rotted. And I'm very gently trying to get this out and see what we have. Uh-oh, it's black too. It's already starting to rot, and there's no, it's not callousing or anything, so my bad. Number one, I think I should have used the mostly perlite mix. And then also, that was very wet, and I haven't watered this in a long time, so it was too wet. So there's a lesson learned not to get it too wet. Though that's really nice up here, but down here, once it starts turning black, that's rotting. Now I'm going to test this. I am going to cut it off, the black part at the bottom. I'm going to put rooting hormone right here where it's green, and see if I can get the rest of this to root. It's worth a shot, and otherwise I'm just throwing this away anyways. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in the same cup, except now I'm going to put the perlite in it instead of potting soil. So there you have the one that didn't root. And now this is January 7th, I think I told you before. And so I wanted to say that so I could see what date I did this and how long it may take it to root now that I have it in a looser mix and all that. So I'm going to put the rooting hormone on it after I cut the black part off, stick it back in here with mostly perlite, and put it back on the windowsill and see how it goes. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed how I pot up my rose cuttings. Now, normally you wouldn't start them in fall, or at least I don't normally. A lot of times to get really fast rooting, it's best to take them in the summer, at least for me. I have had really quick results, like within a few weeks, well, I should say 6 weeks, I've had them root in the summertime. And these were semi-hard cut. No, they're pretty much hard cuttings because there's no bend at all in them. But I also have, I wanted to make sure I told you. Let's see, here. I'm bending down. These are some that I'm doing. These are winter cuttings. I had to cut back a bush, and this is just sand. This is builder sand in here, and I just stuck them down in here, and I'm hoping to see what they do by spring. It's cold enough, damp enough. I'm not going to add any water. The sand was pretty wet, and we'll see how it flies. I think some sugar snap pea seeds fell in here. Anyway, so I've got quite a few in here, so I have high hopes. Even if half rooted, I would be thrilled. So anyways, that's my winter one. I didn't do a video on that, but basically all I did was put sand. This was builder sand in a 1-gallon pot, stuck all my trimmings. I had to cut back a rose plant into it, and it's inside of my greenhouse. You could also put this outside in a sheltered area. What I mean by shelters is like I would put it under my deck where it wouldn't get buried with tons of snow, or in a cold frame, because my greenhouse is not heated. It is basically a glorified cold frame. So it gets very cold in here, and unless once the sun's getting higher in the sky and I get sunlight, it will start being warmer in here during the day. But right now the sun is usually behind the trees, so I don't get a lot of warmth in here. Let's see, it's just barely 52 in here now, and I've had a little bit of sun. As soon as that sun goes behind the trees again, this will go down to the same temperature as it is outside, which has been in the 40s the last couple days. So that is how I do the winter ones, and I will update you this spring on these as well. I have this container, and I have another couple other containers from other rose bushes that I trim back. I had to trim them back because of the heavy snow we had. I hadn't done my usual fall trimming back of my roses, which here I have to do a pretty good prune on them in late fall because we get heavy wet snows that break my roses down. I cannot wait until late winter, early spring, like many recommend. It just does not work here because a broken rose is more vulnerable than one you have cut back. So there's that. Oh, I also have a video I show where I had to cut back my Eden climbing rose. I didn't cut it all the way back when I did my video on pruning it because I had blooms on it and I was loving it. So I didn't. And then we got a heavy unexpected snow and it broke, just like what I did not want it to do. So I shared how I finished pruning it to take care of that problem after it broke. So that being said, I will see you in the spring, and we will update you on all of these roses. Oh, I wanted to mention, too, I don't think I did over there. I forgot to mark that one container that was marked September 16th or something like that. I didn't mark what rose it was. So I don't remember. Within 3 months, I forgot. I could go back and look at the video. Maybe I mentioned in the video what it was, but I kind of doubt it. So always mark your roses. The one I had in the first container that I was taking out, those ones I had written right on the cane, which is what I do a lot of times. I write right on the cane what it is, or a abbreviation. Like I did a Eden rose, I put ED, so, and I know that's my Eden rose. I don't have to write the whole thing out. So there's that. We'll have to wait on those others and see what they look like when they bloom, and then I'll know what they are. Alrighty, I will see you in the next video.